symbol there, greater than. And how many? 10,000 feet. Voila. Okay. So what countries do we have to choose from? Okay, NASA, we got one in India, we've got a few in these other countries. Can anyone tell me what continent those other countries are in? They're all in the same arm.
Asia.
What are the other countries? Peru? How many are in Peru? Looks like 4 in Peru, right? And then 4 in Bolivia, 1 in Argentina, 1 in India. So there's 10 options. We can get them that information, and we just generated all that. We can make this a routine that we could give to business analysts that they could run, and now we've created an application that's useful, right? We did this without coding. Well, anyway, the answer to the question is what? Where are these? Where's Peru, Argentina, and Bolivia?
South America.
South America. Okay. Now, if you know anything about geography, South America has a lot of what? Mountains. It actually has a lot of mountains with. So, what would be the best bet in terms of options for landing? Should we steer them to India or steer them to South America?
South America.
South America, we got more options. You see how quickly we just now got to discussing a problem with some meaningful information? That's the whole notion of using computers to help us solve problems. All right? Now, the steps that we went through are just the first few steps. Let me show you a little more about the tool. Okay? All right. The application that has been made a little more useful is represented right here. You see the steps? It's got a data source, the St. Airports database, 2 or 3 reports, and then some conditions called while, and then some language there. It looks pretty technical, doesn't it? This program right here can be built in about 5 minutes. When we deliver the training, we'll have you using this tool, delivering programs and writing applications in a matter of a lesson. The idea is if we create maybe 100 different problems to solve and you do 100 different ones of these, you'll be learning programming logic and concepts. And if I show you the tool a little bit, over here on the left there's some computer terms. Can you see those? If, while, for each, assign value, display, and data activity. Those are some of the things that will teach you that programmers use when they write code. So using this tool, that's what we'll be able to educate you on. At least that's the plan. So in this particular case, this is several steps of an application, and we have this little screen in play that you can see the logic laid out in a little more meaningful format. Start, access the database, generate 3 reports, and display some values. That's what the logic is here. It takes just a few minutes to drag and drop and set all that up. No coding required. That's the power of our tool. So if we look at the application and we run it, it's been set up to ask somebody for the input. Remember those complicated screens I went through just a second ago? That was starting raw. You can make it even simpler, and you can put things on. So how many airports do you think we have in the United States that are above 5,000 feet? This program will tell us that. This lists them right here, and the way we structured it was to just give you all this information and just raw output and list the altitudes in red. And that's a little hard to use, but that's how computers are. They can give you lists, or they can give you reports. In this case, this particular one also gives a report of every airport in the world that's above 5,000 feet. And it matches them by country and by color. And so this is the type of presentation that you can have access to real easy. And we can show you how to do these things. You see the counters on the left? They go from 0 to 24. There's another report that goes with this that gives you all the details, but this is just showing you a chart presentation for a quick glimpse. And this shows you that the number of airports above 5,000 feet, this is 5,000. The one we did earlier was 10,000, remember? So this list has a lot more entries. There's actually 152 in this list. And 22 of them are in South Africa. That's the one that's the big tall one, matches the color code on the left. Okay? So the reason I'm showing you this is just go ahead and get the lights, Kelly. The reason I'm showing you this is there's a lot of powerful ways to obtain information and present information. And if y'all are game, we'll write up some things and show you how to use that tool to learn programming and kind of discuss and think and just become more computer literate. That's a good starting point. Now, how many of you felt like you could do a drag and drop on the tool? Does that make sense, right? I mean, you just saw me just pulling over and dragging and dropping. How many of you thought it looked pretty complicated? Nobody? Good. Because I'm thinking we can eventually have kids in the 5th grade using our tool. Okay? That's what I want to try. Maybe even earlier. But again, we don't expect you to understand all the nuances of the tool to begin with. We just want you to be able to log in and generate reports and access information and get things. And then pretty soon you start getting more comfortable. How many of you can type? When did you start learning keyboard? 4th grade? 3rd? 4th? 4th grade? And how many of you thought that was pretty hard when you started? I did. But maybe you didn't. But after a while, I'm pretty amazed that I can type like I do. And just we kind of get better and better. And that's the approach we want to use. It's a lot of repetition and practice. We keep it simple and learn the skills. Okay? So South Africa, I've actually landed on their airports. And what happens is the plane goes really, really fast when it's at high altitude because the air's thinner. And the runways have to be a lot longer because you can't slow down and maintain flight. There's just problems in science that have to do with aeronautics and lift. And those are the kind of things we think we can introduce into the problems we solve. So you're learning programming and you're learning something about the world. Science, technology, right? Engineering, math, and other things as well. We were talking to some people and they're saying, you know, we need the arts to be part of this because there's so much you can do in the arts with computer technology, and that's true. And so I think that if we focus on getting you guys with the right tools and get you the skills and access and get you properly motivated, that we can start solving the problem that everybody's concerned about. Okay? Do you agree? Okay. Any questions or comments? How are we doing on time?
What time do you guys get out of here? It's Monday. 9:30.
10:40.
Yeah, 10:40. You've got a few more minutes.
Pardon?
You've got a few more minutes. They leave at 10:40.
Okay. All right, let me show you a couple other things on the product. I'll just kind of run through. You want to get the light? All right. Now, here's what we call the portal view. When you log in, we call that a portal where you access things. And we've been looking at building applications for other people. Uh-oh. What does that mean?
It's not illustrated block.
So that one's blocked? I bet this one is too. Okay, so we'll have to say those for another time. All three of these should be blocked. Okay, so the airports by country. I'm showing you this application. Over here on the left, we have a notification activity. And we can take, and whatever we create, like those reports we created, we can take and send an email, send a text message, actually call a telephone and do a text-to-voice conversion, or vice versa. Put it on Twitter, put it on Facebook, or figure a conference call, or deliver a message. And so by the time you finish this, you'll have the ability to do that. Create apps that can actually send the results to people in one of these forms. So again, it's a tool that has a lot of general purpose, and those are the communications or notification events that we support. Okay? In terms of office activity, right now we read spreadsheets. A lot of companies use spreadsheets to contain information. We let you go to the web and you can do certain steps to automate web access or to interact with websites. Websites today are not just the things you can use from a browser, but you can write programs to talk to websites and interact a lot more efficiently so that things will scale better. And so there's a lot of information there that you could use on the web. Okay? And so then on the data sources, I showed you the database. If we wanted to add a database, we just drop it in. And if we wanted to go someplace else, like a new connection, we identify the type of data source, and you'll be hearing and learning terms like SQL, structured query language. Oracle and DB2 are big databases. And you can actually put in here and configure whatever server, whatever port, and whatever login information that you have, and then connect to whatever data source you have access to. Okay?
Motivation.
Talk about the motivational part again. What we think is going to make this meaningful is we give you problems to solve. Okay? Like the airports database, there's a space shuttle, NASA needs a report. That's the way we want to structure things to solve problems. Another one that we're working on is there's technologies being used in cars now. And certain countries are using cars to report when they hit a pothole and to send information back so that you can actually start recording where potholes are forming, and so that you can send crews out and fix them instead of not knowing where they are. And then you can, of course, schedule the crews on a mapping system to make sure they're traveling in an efficient fashion instead of just running here and there and back and forth. If there's 5 potholes, look at a map where they are and make sure you send them the optimal route to save time and expense of gas to work more efficiently. And then they can report the temperatures in the car. And so if the windshield wipers are on and the car's running with the wipers on and the temperatures are low, they know that the roads are going to be freezing soon. And they can get that kind of information and start sending crews to where there's expected to be problems instead of just, waiting for reports of accidents. Start working ahead with information. And so those are some of the things that we'll teach you about, and then let you have some lessons on how to write some apps to process that information and learn programming skills while you're learning about practical ways computers are used. And then the other thing is that we want you to learn how to do is mobile apps for your cell phones, so that you have apps that can send notices to people and that you can, create things quickly and use and have your own personalized apps for cell phones. Now, by the end of next year, people are forecasting that more people will be using the internet from their smartphones than from desktops or laptops. That's a big change. And so one of the things that we'll teach you about is, well, how do you make information look decent for the desktop web, for the mobile web, right? Or for a mobile app. And those are just the basics that we think by the time you graduate high school, you'll know enough about technology to go get one of these high-paying jobs while you're going to college. That's the goal. Ultimately, it's about equipping you to do more and to get some skills. And we think that the motivation will come from being relevant and being interesting and learning, and the fact that you'll actually see results. We think that seeing results from what you're doing is a big motivator. To feel a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment of something useful. And that's part of the motivational thing as well. Did you think of another motivational part? Okay. So that's it. Thank you for letting me come be part of your class today. And if you think of some things, start giving some feedback to Ms. Watson. We're going to go try to raise some funds to get people to sponsor what we're doing so that we can actually do it quicker and just do it right. And so that's what we're working on right now, is getting the word out. And so I appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing from you and working with you in the future. Okay? Thank you very much.